Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of the Champion of Champions. Started off with 16 players. We're down to 8, and we will be playing down to our champion tonight. Our final kicking off about 8 p.m. But for the time being, we've got winners qualification. So the winner of this match will be moving through to the semi-finals, and they'll be guaranteeing themselves at least $2,000 in prize money. What a match. We've got the Postman versus the Magician. Kerry, coming to you first, me and you had a chat yesterday. You admitted yourself you probably weren't at your best a couple of weeks ago at Nationals, but based on what we saw yesterday, looks like you're back in form.
Yeah, I'm warming to my task. This is like a second home for me. I've spent a lot of hours in here. The tables are running great. It's an exciting format. What more can you ask?
And there's been some, unbelievable matches between yourself and Simon in the past. Going back to 2019 Super League final, Hill, and then you dry broke, and Simon cleared up to win 9-8, and then South Island final last year when you really sort of blew him away 6-2. Obviously playing with the CNZ rules, so Simon's obviously someone that you just really enjoy playing.
If you can't get excited about playing Simon, who can you get excited about playing? He set the bar. He's proved that he's pretty adaptable in all formats. I think it's going to be a great match. I really hope we both play well.
And Simon, again, I guess going back to 2 weeks ago, you looked pretty disappointed with having to finally relinquish that crown that you'd had for the last 4 years. But are you seeing today as an opportunity for redemption, just to show that you are number one again in New Zealand with a small white?
It's pool, isn't it? Anything can happen. I've had my fair share of luck over the years, and the luck wasn't quite with me a couple of weeks back. But that's the game that we're playing. So. Yeah, just going to try my best. Hopefully I can play well, and if I play well, I know I'm tough to beat, and Kerry will think the same. So hopefully we can just put on a good show first thing in the morning.
And I guess, even if either of you two do lose this match, you're not out. You still got that second life. But I guess it is huge knowing that if you win, you've potentially got like a 5-6 hour break, which could be massive.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you've got to have that mentality coming in. Like I think we've both of us have got to be prepared to lose and not be too worried about it, because we're going to have to go straight back out there again, especially if this match goes 2.5 hours. You might only have a 5-minute break, so it's important to just probably for both of us, we've got that life there, and we should both be sort of prepared to use it and just mentally and just relax and enjoy this match. It's almost like we're free rolling, and maybe we'll both get to the semi-final anyway, so yeah, that's my attitude, I think.
Excellent. All right, well, best of luck to both players. We'll let them lag for the break, and off we go.
Come on, put on a show, fellas. So you heard from the players, you heard from Alex Stones. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Hearty welcome to each and every one of you. I am John the Voice Saundercock, signing in for another spectacular day of pole. How about this for a game? Two of the very best players. These rules, these balls in New Zealand. Simon Singleton, of course, recently dethroned as the New Zealand champion, but still hungry to show that he is the best player of the Reds and Yellows in New Zealand. If it's ever up for debate, then he's looking to put that debate to bed right here. And you heard what the players said in the interview with Alex just before this match. This is kind of like a dress rehearsal of sorts, or just a chance to have a wee hit out before the next match, because the player who loses this game is not necessarily out. They can still make their way through into the semi-finals via the losers bracket, but at the same time it's always important to put on your best performance, put your best shoes on, get your stroke on, and just get it done. And Simon Singleton's a fairly laid back sort of character, at least he portrays himself that way in the interviews, but you know that there'll be a coming inside. Doesn't like to betray too much. He fairly cards close to chest sort of person, but you know he'll be hungry for this. You just know it, and you know that Kerry Wirtz will be just as much so. Another person who comes off as very relaxed when he's interviewed, but you know how much he loves this game and he wants to make an absolute stamp on it. So Kerry gets first use of the table. We didn't see either of these players yesterday on this live stream. It's amazing, especially in Simon's case, how we went a whole day at a pool tournament without ever seeing him on the streaming table. Just goes to show you that even the best have to wait sometimes. And Kerry was just a little bit lucky there. That wasn't going in before that second intervention with the cue ball. And Kerry nicknamed the Magician. And, well, it doesn't need me to explain why. Hopefully he'll show you why. Absolute wizard with a cue. I don't think he'll be overly happy with what he's done there. I'd venture to say he was looking for more cover or a better cue ball than that. Right in that. Looking to just leave the cue ball sort of right in that corner pocket and really leave Simon, well, either nothing or something very difficult to start with. Straight away on getting into it on the reds. Were you talking about the cut that Kerry played, or are you talking about the attempted safety that he played? And Chris Melling, of course, for those of you who don't know, is one of the very best English black ball players. It's another player who's an absolute wizard with a cue. If you haven't done so, I would very much suggest you watch some of the Ultimate Pool series and also the Taeom Shootout. They both showcase a very, very high standard of black ball. Of course, the UK is very well known for being the birthplace of the game, and the players who play it are absolute world class. The cut, oh yeah. It's one thing that is easier to play, I think, in these situations with a smaller cue ball, is that fine cut shot. It requires you to train your eye a little bit more or almost to remind yourself that you have to hit it fatter than you think. Well, that's a result and a half. He was trying to do that, mind, but he managed to just avoid the in off, so it could have easily gone quite wrong for him. He took a bit of a risk. But Kerry is very much a risk-reward sort of player, especially playing this format. I don't think Simon wanted that. I'm just watching him on the side view. He had his head up in the air like, oh, really? I need to see it myself, CHCF. I've seen a bit of him play, but pains me to say I haven't seen that clearance. Maybe I need to jump online after this match is finished and actually watch it. Lays in a good snooker there, does Simon. And Kerry with his 9-ball ground will be more than up for the challenge, though. I think he'll be quite happy with that. Covers that red even more, and makes the frame uglier, which will suit him down to the ground. And Simon alongside with Baden Jackson, one of the very best practitioners of these rules in New Zealand. I went on yesterday about how this game is relatively new in New Zealand. We're still trying to come to grips with the way it's played and usage of the small cue ball and such, but Simon and Baden, having played this game in the UK, know it better than most. I just wonder whether there might be a magician type shot here. Cannon off that yellow next to the red into the yellow just beneath it. Yeah, there we go. You kind of knew it was coming. You ever watched Kerry play any form of cue sport, you know that there's a shot like that in the offing. I think he was trying to get that more in behind those two reds and also using the black as a second ball to block. But as we saw yesterday a number of times, especially playing this sort of angle across the nap does take it to the near jaw. Appears like that's come out enough to pot. Tricky to say though whether or not it's really there for a clearance. Kerry may look to put this ball close to that other yellow if he can. That also works reasonably well. Just looking to bide his time. The trick against Simon, as it is against most players, especially those of his calibre, is you need to try and jump on him early, and get to him early and get him starting to doubt himself. Then you know you're in with a chance against him. If he gets a roll on early against you and gets a few frames ahead, then by and large you can kiss it goodbye. There's always going to be a period in these sort of matches of players just trying to feel each other out, so to speak. It's a bit like a rugby game or a league game or even a test match in cricket. That was a very good snooker out from Kerry. He's going to have to ask referee Peter Wilson to have a look at this. Ball does look on, but very tight. You can see on the side view the red's slightly ahead of the yellow in terms of position relative to the cue ball here. Yeah, it looked like a foul, didn't it? Especially when you look at how much the red moved. So Peter Wilson calling the foul, and Simon looking to, with this I'd say, to give himself a better look at reds here. First shot to get that plant out of the way, make the second red more available. The red to the middle pocket doesn't look too difficult. In fact, he's having a look at it now. Many players would have used that red in bulk to try to improve position on it, but didn't need to. And trust himself enough to put it there and then. Natural sort of angle here for the black. He's either one of two ways here. That was the first one. The second one was to run through and put it in the middle pocket, same side of the table. So 1-0 to Simon Singleton. Yes, via the foul, but all the same, that's not what gets recorded. You see a good view of the playing arena, at least around this table. Also in the top right corner of the screen you'll see table 3 where Neil Wally and Dean Garnett are playing. That is a loser round 3 match. So the winner of that game will move through into the losers qualification. The loser of this game between Kerry and Simon will go into the losers qualification as well. And Gary Oliver there, pretty much centre of your screen, one of the very best snooker players, or billiards players, in New Zealand. So we've got billiards royalty in the house right now. Most people would consider him the GOAT of New Zealand billiards. Kerry breaking off here and gets the messenger read. Very much like Adam Shaw, he's only a small man in stature. Like you have a look at both of them together, they're about the same sort of size, and yet they've both got massive breaks. And both able to deliver stupid amounts of power through that cue. So red's quickly into play here, and may very well take this cut on to release the red that's stuck near the bulk line. I did indeed, Mabel. Got just under 8 hours of sleep. Went pretty much straight home after last night and then basically straight to bed. Thankfully we didn't start too early this morning. Got some more caffeine in me now and a bit more in the wings, so hopefully I'll be able to stay more alert today. Beautiful weight there on that shot from Kerry. One of the very best finesse players that I've ever seen. We talk a lot about his magician ability with a cue and what he can do that very few other players can, but the hallmark of his game for me is his touch play and his finesse play. Very good at judging the weight of his shots. He's very quick to read a table. There's one thing that players will tell you at this level is quicker that you can actually read the speed of a table and read how the rails play and how the cloth plays, then the more trust you can put in your swing. You know how you have to hit it. And Simon's over-cued that somewhat. He would have wanted that to pull up about 300 mil short of where it went. Still an opportunity for a cut into the middle there though. There's a middle pocket right of your screen. I reckon if he cuts the yellow closest to him into there, he'll flick the other yellow out with it. Well, they got the first part of it. Second yellow's still there. Couldn't quite control the cue ball as he would have liked. Yellow just outside of bulk here will cut into the middle pocket though. Left hand middle pocket. Pretty Ike-mo shot though. If he makes it, he'll believe fully that he can finish this though. Instead going to cut this yellow on the bulk line. Oh, he's weighted that beautifully. That's a magical shot. Could possibly be the Chris Mellon cut coming up. Hello to you too, Jody. Definitely, it's just as important for me as it is for the players. Well, he did try it. He had to hit it extremely fine and ended up missing it altogether. So, free shot to Kerry. Just wondering whether he really needs to do much with this, or doesn't even need to move the cue ball. As long as he got onto that red just outside of bulk, he was okay. That's actually a good point, Jody. I'll have to talk to Paul about that. And off. Well, he didn't quite make for the spread there. Wanted that to come off the rail just before the jaw, but kind of screwed back too far before the side really took, and as a result, Simon gets a free shot back. Thank you very much, Paul. Oh, look at where the blacks ended up. Well, there's still a chance here for Simon. He's made it a lot harder for himself, though. It's probably not so much where the blacks ended up, it's more where it is relative to that yellow. The ball will still go into that corner pocket that he's pointing at now, but he's going to have to take a harder route to it. Up and behind that yellow, I think the one next to the black will actually go into the bottom left pocket as well. As I've said a number of times, small cue ball makes this shot more on than it looks. Yeah, well cued. Had the choice there to screw it back slightly for a snooker just in case, but Simon playing at 100% aggressively. I'm going to get that more past it so that he had a better angle on this last yellow and doesn't need to think about the white ball too much. So this black now for a 2-0 lead. And down she goes, so Simon Singleton out to a 2-0 lead. Good opportunities for Kerry in both of these opening games, but the foul's derailing him at the wrong sort of point, right at the end of the frame, just coughing a foul up. Hitting Simon's ball first in the first frame and then and off in the second, this after having a free shot himself. So it's the little things like that leading to big things. And 2-0. Simon's break is successful. Also show my boy Alex Stone some love. He's doing his own stream on his own Facebook page, Inside New Zealand Pool Podcast. Have a look at that on Facebook, and then if you wish to watch the match between Healy White and Des Wilcox, which I know many of you would like to do, then I suggest firmly that you jump onto his Facebook page and look at the live stream from there. Got Alex Stones and Baden Jackson commentating on that. Baden Jackson, of course, one of the best cueists in New Zealand, not actually playing today. He was rather shockingly knocked out. Simon Singleton beat him to move him into the losers side, and then, as we saw yesterday on the live stream, knocked out of the tournament proper by Adam Shaw. Adam Shaw currently playing against Des Blair and is 1-0 up. Dean Garnett, Neil Wally locked at 1 game apiece in the first set. Healy White and Des Wilcox also playing their first set, but Healy has a 2-1 lead. So as always, if you want to track all the progress, go to qscore.com and search Champion of Champions. There you will see all of the up-to-date scores for the 4 matches that are playing. Also scrolling at the bottom of the screen are our generous sponsors, without which we certainly wouldn't have the financial backing, or most of the financial backing to run this tournament. Beds Are Us, Need a Car, On Cue supplied these wonderful tables and this wonderful streaming service. Prime Environmental, thank you Dave and Hugh for stumping up some money to support this. Queenstown Furniture Gallery and the Hanger Company New Zealand Limited. Massive kudos to all of you. And of course New Zealand Pool Promotions, dare I forget them, for all the tireless work that they've put in to promote this game within our country. See the lovely lines that Simon's taking within this clearance. Oh, except for that, that's a horrible miss. Very uncharacteristic miss as well. Because he knew he had to put a bit of top on that to get it out far enough for the black. But that shouldn't have really been a problem. He's usually absolute nails on those. So Kerry, at least for him, will get an unexpected visit. Not surprisingly using what he's got there for a snooker. Always a lot easier to get a snooker when there are several balls on the table and the opponent's only got one that they can shoot for. Yellow first, doesn't want the black to drop. It, for a moment, looked like it might have done, but pulls up short. Now we'll get to see how well Kerry knows these rules, because I suspect he's not overly familiar with the concept of picking the cue ball up and putting it behind bulk. He's given himself a decent sort of shot here on this yellow to the left middle. I do get the feeling though that he would have been better off to take that in bulk or play a different shot. Kerry, with his ability to actually see the angles and create shots for himself though, and especially with a shot in which he's safe from almost everything, he feels he's good enough to play it from where he is. Much easier snooker escape here for Simon. He can even put this in off the black. Could either put this in straight in or in off the black. He's got two options here. I tried to put it in off the black, but just got his angles ever so slightly wrong. It'll be the higher of these yellows to the middle pocket. Nice bump on the second one, and Kerry will be away here. That yellow in the middle of the table, as you see, does go. So yellow to the right, yellow bottom left. Just following himself around nicely to the black. Taking the circle route, that needs to get up. He's a bit short there. Should still be okay though. This is where his touch comes into play. Just sort of touch this in and let the cue ball do the rest. No, okay. Wasn't even on the black either, so if he had potted that, he didn't have a cut on the black in any event. No doubt Simon will look to just lay up for a snooker here. The problem he's got is that he knows how good Kerry is at getting out of them. And off the black, great shot. Well, most people would have tried to snooker there, but I think Simon knew better than that. He knew what was most likely going to happen after that, is that Kerry had an easy out with the black and good proximity to the pocket, so he took it on himself, and he is 1-0 ahead. One set to go ahead. I'd also like to give a big thank you to Paul Chivers, who's sat right next to me doing the technical side of this stream. Very few other people that Daryl Chambers trusts with the equipment here. We've got a good array of equipment set up for here. Cameras, monitors, streaming gear and so on. It's all Daryl Chambers' gear. Paul does an excellent job of running this. So Kerry to kick us off in the second set. Trails 1-0. And immediately ball off the break, shark rack off the table. Reds look like they're screaming out for a clearance here. Just a choice of which one he wants. He's got two, potentially three of them that he could take, or even a fourth one if he wants to go perhaps a little bit longer. That'll do fine. Doesn't have to play over the top of the red, he can just go for the one bottom right of your screen. Might even be able to screw up the rail here for the one on that same long rail. Yep. Just an in and out sort of shot here. He's got to be pretty much spot on with this though, because these corner pockets suffer no falls. At that sort of pace they'll almost always go, but if he genuinely wanted to go in and out for that red into the same pocket, then he would have had to give it a bit of juice. That invites the jaws into play, instead deciding to take it a bit easier and ensure that he gets the pot. It doesn't look too fantastic a shot, but he has blocked off most of the yellows here. An element of control in that shot. He would have been on that red bottom right, but also to leave the cue ball there to snuff out any real chance that Simon has to pot a ball and get onto that yellow on the bottom left side of the table on that long rail. Because if he gets on that ball and he can make that pocket open for himself, then he's a great chance at finishing. But as it is, he's got this yellow that's blocked by the red in the bottom right corner of your screen. Just looks to play it onto the red to kill it. If he's left that on for a plant as well, then that may bring the skill shot into play later on if the frame progresses like that. Simon can take this yellow on now to clear that pocket, bump the red out of the way, and there you see him queuing up that yellow below the black spot. If he can run nice and full into that as shown, then he may be able to kick it either towards that pocket or even kick it into the yellow and then onto the red for a skill shot. Or he can just play it there. The problem was though is that he didn't actually move the red. The red still blocks that yellow, so still in a bit of bother here. He does have that yellow next to the red near the middle pocket though, so he does get a second bite at this, and he's got a relatively easy yellow to get onto it. Stop. Should be okay. Would have liked to have been the other side of that yellow so he can sort of run with the angle rather than the cue ball running away from his work. This time he does, and he's controlled that quite beautifully. He's managed to keep the cue ball nice and close to it, not going too far away from those three yellows. It shows you just how well he knows the small white ball. As I say that, he's overshot position somewhat. It's almost like I deliberately cursed him there. Cuts that thin and kills the cue ball beautifully for the black. For me, it was not so much the cut that impressed, but the fact that he was able to keep the cue ball down that end of the table for an easy black. So Kerry very quickly into somewhat of a bad sticky situation here in this set as well. Simon starting to show his class here, and as I said before, you don't want to give this man a good lead. Jody Chapman, 30-second shot clock. I think it will, to be honest, if they introduce it in more tournaments, if they can police it in more tournaments. Because I don't think it's the introduction of the shot clock as much as it is policing the 30 seconds. Everybody knows that the rules state that you've only got 30 seconds per shot. I mean, that's written in black and white, but it's being able to police those rules that is the issue. We simply do not have enough referees or official timers around who can time the players playing, so I mean, we've had this issue so many times in CNZ, and we get to tournaments like these, it's a bit easier because you've only got 4 tables going at once, so you can have a person or a referee at each table to time the players. We've got a 30-second shot clock on every single match after 90 minutes has elapsed, and then after 150 minutes it goes to a 20-second shot clock with 1 extension per player per game. But I would like to see it in every tournament played, to be fair, Jody, because it makes for a more attractive pool when the players can play to a set time, and it means they've got to think a bit faster, and they've got to work at seeing the patterns quicker on pool table and mapping out a route, and then being able to come up with a plan B in case plan A doesn't work. It's a good thing about having the extension is that at least it allows players for one shot to remap out a route or get out of a snooker or any sort of shot that requires a bit more thought. You did right, Jody. Manages to keep away from the red there, and that's not the kiss on the red that he wants. Don't think the black's on down the rail, but he can potentially play it off the rail here. You see, that's the angle he wants the cue ball to deflect off the rail on. If he can deflect off the rail onto that angle that he just cued up, then there's a chance at still potting this down the rail. Yeah, that's what he tried, but he just got underneath it too much. So wide open table for Reds here. Kerry needs to get going and get going fast. Hasn't really had a hell of a lot happen for him. He's had limited table time in the last few frames. They're just putting a snooker in, so just shelving the attacking intent for now. Usual Kerry Wirtz would have had a go at that, but respects the game situation, respects his fellow player. Simon looking to curl around the first red that's in his way, but difficult shot with that second red being there, the one that's closest to the middle pocket left of your screen, because you'll have to start snapping the ball just before it gets to that red. May have a 2 cushion escape here. Yeah, but he hit the jaw though. He had to just miss that jaw in order for the cue ball to travel the right path. Thank you very much, Carl, and glad to be of service. And you're right as well, Jody. I mean, these players, even if they had the shot clock on them, they'd be every single shot they'd be playing to it. No, you can't play a jump shot, Jody. I think you can only play jump shots in world rules or American rules on the 9-foot table. This is where somebody like Kerry should actually excel, getting out of snookers because of his 9-ball background. The ability to kick at balls and bank and what have you is a big 9-ball skill. I want to straighten this up ever so slightly for the red into the middle pocket here. Just like that. So we can just play a little run through and have the black in the opposite middle pocket. This will be the first game that he's won in the entire match. So Kerry Wirtz finally gets himself on the board and off the schneid. Also want to give a quick shout out or a mention to Richie Whitty, who is running his own tournament parallel to this one at the Kashmir Club. Richie, do you wish to mention something about your rogue tournament?
Yes, we've just in the main hall there, there's 16 players at the moment. Just going to get some of the lads used to reds and yellows. So come on down, have a look. I think we've got exactly 16 players at the moment, so it's more or less perfect. It kicks off in probably 5-10 minutes. But come on down, have a look, and check out the rules. Cheers, John.
Thank you, Richie. There's another individual who's has done and is doing a lot for Q Sports, especially in the Canterbury area. Richie Whitty setting up his own rogue tournaments, doing a lot to promote pole, but also the organisation of some of the CNZ tournaments like the South Islands at Hornby and some of the Canterbury Championships and things like the Alan Cowan, which is quite near and dear to the Hornby players. Of course, Alan Cowan was a Hornby stalwart. A memorial tournament in his honour held about a month ago. But yeah, if you're anywhere near Kashmir and you wish to have a look at this or even the Rogue tournament and learn a bit more about how this game is played, if you've never played it before, or if you just want a refresher, or you just want to watch some great pole, no matter the reason, you're all welcome. 88 Hunter Terrace in Kashmir in Christchurch. There's one of Richie's great pals there on the chat, Paul Hinch. Great crack, I like that. It's Irish word for great for fun or enjoyment. It's showing your Irish side there, Paul. To the right for the second red down that end of the table. Most likely looking for the plant next, top right of your screen. He's hit that beautifully as well. Need to manufacture more Q power than you think on those shots. Even though it is a small white ball, Still having to put follow on it. Left the second red in a good place for a second plant there. Normally you'd want that pocket to be open for the red that's down that bulk rail, but if you leave it close enough to the hole like that, it's still an easy plant. Yeah, and he's getting a real roll going, isn't he? You can see with Simon. Figuring out the table quite nicely here and starting to get that pause more worked into his stroke. I was talking at length yesterday to some of the other players like Michael Hayes and Healy White, all having a conversation about the stroke and how you want to time your stroke and your feathering and get that pause right just before you finally hit the cue ball. Simon getting that all into sync quite nicely right now. 2-1 ahead in the second set. But for anybody wanting to learn how to cue well or cue better, have a look at the way Simon actually strokes the cue ball. Or rather, look at what he does on his just before he delivers the cue through the ball. So he even does it on his break there. You see that long pause before he actually hits the break. Does the same thing for every other shot that he takes. And when he gets that pause in before every single shot, then that really helps with his timing and his cue ball control. Okay. So the loser of the game between Des Wilcox and Healy White, and the winner of the match between Des Blair and Adam Shaw will be our next streamed game. And then after that particular match, all the remaining games are on this stream. Just to remind you again that Alex Stones is running his own stream on Facebook. Search up Inside New Zealand Pool Podcast. And then you will see that stream if you wish to watch Des Wilcox and Healy White battle it out. Kerry's still struggling with his range here. It's difficult to say because usually Kerry's very quick at reading a table, but still seems to be having issues with certain shots, and right now Simon's making him pay full toll for it. Morning dinner. At the moment, Adam Shaw 1-0 ahead of Des Blair and 2 games each. Neil Wally and Dean Garnett still playing the first set, although it looks like that's just finished. At the moment we've got 2 games apiece there. Healy White is 1-0 ahead of Des Wilcox, and Des has a 2-1 lead. So Simon currently on the yellows. So the yellow next to the red near the middle pocket left of your screen will go into that top left corner. I'm picking Simon will be playing for... No, okay, he wasn't playing for that. Probably the first shot that he's actually jabbed all game. It's the first genuinely bad shot he's played. I'll have to remember that, nil. Much like a certain Mr. Wally currently playing, although spelt differently. Just a little punch draw. The weight there really helped him any harder and that wouldn't have dropped. Sort of in between whether he plays this as a weighted shot or whether he plays it a bit more aggressively and takes the rail here. Most players, as you see there, would take the rail, especially again with the 9-ball background. It's almost de rigueur to take the rail on shots like those. Oh, dragged off to perfection. RuPaul would have loved that. Down goes the black, so 2 games apiece. Oh, what better way to watch it, eh? Good morning to you too, Nikki. Must admit, I am actually really liking the new season of RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under. Please don't give me any spoilers. I'm a couple of episodes behind, so don't tell me who's in and who's out. It's a good way to spend a Saturday, isn't it? If you're not playing pool and getting to watch it, or in my case, getting to commentate on it. I'm always rooting for my Kiwi Queens, of course. Spanky Jackson and Yuri Guy. For my recent memory, 2 of the Kiwi Queens still in that competition. As I say, please do not spoil it for me, because I think there's still 2 episodes I need to catch up on. Careful with your cue ball. He was at risk of losing that, but pulled up just in time for this red to the bottom left pocket. I don't think the one closest to the cue ball will pass that yellow into the middle. I might have to put a little bit on this to spit out towards the middle of the table. Did. I think that yellow didn't help though. He would have liked to be further up table so he could perhaps take the cut on the yellow bottom right of your screen, but he does have the one in the middle of the table that he can take into the corner. No, these are English black ball rules, Nikki. World rules or English 2-shot as some people call it. We've actually moved away from playing those. Oh dear. He went for the cut anyway. It was probably harder than it should have been. For me, I think he's just bitten off way too much, and as a result he's handed it right back to Simon. do not need to give the second guy a dinner invitation. He'll be at your house before you've gotten the first sentence out. Yeah, cheers, Frankie. I just noticed that now. Up to a deciding game in that second set between those two players. As we are here, it's pretty much the same sort of score. Adam Shaw has also now gotten to a 2-0 lead over Des Blair. So that's loser round 3, so the winner goes through to the loser's qualification and the loser is out. It is. I mean, that's why I said at the very beginning of the stream, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Because I'm aware that other people from other countries are watching this, which is amazing, really. It's great to have an international audience for this, no matter how small. 5 PM here in the States, so you must be Eastern Seaboard, Atlantic Ocean, I take it. 17 hours behind. Be on Atlantic time. Thank you very much for the kind words as well at the end of that. Yeah, same, Nikki. I'm quietly jealous as well. What it is just practice. I mean, Simon played this when he was in the UK, but he's also got his own table at home. When he can, he puts in a fair amount of practice on his table at home. He said to me recently that it's been incredibly cold in the morning in Queenstown, so that stopped him from being able to practice in his garage. Because of where his table is, he actually has to open his garage door to access the whole table. And when it's below 0 in the morning, you don't exactly want to hang around too long. Reasonably close to the rail here is Simon. This is where the wheat gets separated from the chaff. Not just because this is a pressure shot, but because you're close to the rail with a small cue ball, so much more important to get a quality contact, but because you don't have as much of the ball to hit as you otherwise would. Oh, shot. Pretty much right as he aimed it too. Doesn't go in the corner, so he'll have to cut it to the middle. Oh, that's good, Nicky. Maybe you'll want to audition for the Super League next year. Control. Beautiful again from Simon, and he takes the second set. So he gets himself on the hill in terms of sets here. Get yourself a set of reds and yellows, Nicky. I feel that this is the game to invest in. Looks like Kerry's partner there, Celia Bason, just walking down the tunnel with him. Just as we saw with Baden yesterday, after he was struggling a little bit in his match, he went and phoned his wife Tara and had a talk to her, and Tara was able to calm him down somewhat. Kerry isn't quite the same sort of person as Baden is, but it's always good to know that you've got your partner there to talk to for support if you're struggling ever so much. Centre of your screen, Corrine Simpson, who was Gary Oliver's partner. She's a pretty handy pool player in her own right. Got to the final of the ladies CNZ Canterbury singles, losing in the final to Louise Kerr, which I actually streamed on my phone. Yeah, he hit top gear yesterday. You saw him bring back a lot of that touch and flair that we know he's got. He's always at his best when he plays with a bit of flair, but then he can mix that with control and knowledge of the rules, and he's come on an awfully long way in his knowledge of these rules, has Healy. Made his way to, I believe, the semi-finals of the Nationals. Also, I believe, the quarterfinals of the North Islands. I mean, the rules are not difficult to learn, Nicky, but it's the application of the rules and knowing with the ability to snooker, for example, and how to use the free shot and how to give yourself the best opportunity to get a free shot. Just things like that comes as second nature to these guys. Obviously it's going to take a lot of practice to get comfortable with all of that, but you've already got the right setup there, Nicky. You've got your own table, you've got the reds and yellows, so then it just becomes a deal of getting yourself to play more often, and getting yourself in tournaments too is big. Get yourself some tournament play, learn off other players there. Looks like a successful break there from Kerry. Just switch back to our normal view. Always good to have that side view as well. You can see top right of your screen. Doesn't want the second ball, doesn't want the second ball. That would have been extremely handy as a blocker. Practice. So
we'll slowly teach you, John.
This might actually be on past the red. I was wondering that just before. You don't always know just looking from this angle. This angle doesn't always tell you. That was more than on. It actually went in off the jaw closest to the red. That tells you how much that ball was still on. There's all sorts of drills you can do as well, Jody. I was watching Adam do one with Neil 2 weeks ago. Excellent cue ball again from Simon on the black. This for the first game in the third set. I was watching the dedication that Adam had to his drills, and Neil giving him pointers and good kick up the backside where required. Something that I think Kerry needs right now, because he's 2 sets to 0 down and 1 game to 0 down. No, that's just the normal way he plays when he's on a roll, Sam. Doesn't need to take too much time over his shots, it just all comes naturally to him. That's what you'll find with most of these players, is that the quicker they play up to a certain extent, of course, the more in the groove they're feeling. Because obviously if you're in the groove, then everything appears more natural, and you're not having to stop and think as much. It's more just see ball, pop ball.
Have you noticed that Kerry doesn't use the rack at all? He only uses the shark rack.
No, I just noticed that now.
Yeah.
Just a little something I noticed as well, something that Paul pointed out, is that Kerry's one of the few players that does not use the regular triangle in conjunction with the shark rack. See, Kerry only using the shark rack here and manually spotting balls in it. Could be very much a holdover from 9-ball, where you use a magic rack in 9-ball and you don't actually have a diamond as such to set the balls up, so you have to set them all up by hand, and maybe doing that also with the shark rack in this format. It does have the option here of playing a red onto a yellow here if the shot's on. I don't think it is though. I'm looking at in bulk there. I think that second red might just be in the way. Looking at this quite intently. It looks from the side view like that will go in past the red though. It just has to avoid that first red enough first. Yeah, that was always going to be the problem. It wasn't the fact that the pocket wasn't open, it was the red that was closest to the yellow was just in the way enough to make that pot harder. You're talking about Jordan Maihe, Jody. He's using a 9-ball cue, Neil. You're talking about Simon there. I think Kerry also uses a 9-ball cue. Oh, that's a bit of a woolly miss. Unexpected too. Kerry, after missing his first ball, would have expected to have quite a long time sat in his seat, but instead he's straight back to the table.
Kerry's getting distracted by that voice.
I've just been told to be a bit quieter because Kerry's starting to get a little bit distracted by me. Kerry's always used a 9-ball cue to play with, but Simon's switched to playing with a 9-ball cue for every discipline. He said he just found it too difficult to switch between a 9-ball cue and an 8-ball cue when he switches tables, because he plays a lot of 9-ball as well, so he's just used one cue for every table. That too, when actually both of these players, when they play snooker, they continue to use a 9-ball cue. There's a good number of players, in fact, who play this game and snooker with a 9-ball cue. which is something that the purists wouldn't exactly agree with, but I say wouldn't worry about it, whatever gets results. Nobody really cares how you got that result, it's just that you got it. Really wanted to bite into that more for screwback. Just kind of leapt up off it. Might be able to play a cannon here. I don't think he's quite in line for it though. Might try and cannon this yellow into the middle pocket on the left here. Hold on to your hats, folks. One of the best cannon players in the game. Ooh. Oh, spectacular first shot, gets onto his hard one straight away. Looks like this will go off the yellow as well into the middle pocket. You see the yellow is not quite square with the middle, so it makes the shot a bit simpler. He has to make sure he hits the yellow quite thick, I'd imagine about 3/4 ball roughly. And 3/4 ball to direct it into the middle pocket. Yep. Very nearly managed to get that other red off the rail too. That was the other thing that he was queuing for there when he was shadow queuing the shot, was the deflection on the yellow to hopefully make that red available too. Where that yellow finished is interesting, right in bulk there. It could have made a real nuisance of itself. Either a double or a plant or even a triple. There's always another corner pocket, and if you've got a red over it, it makes the pocket a hell of a lot bigger. Overhit it. Wanted that to stop about in line with the middle pocket there. He's going to have to take his medicine here though. And play the red that's out of bulk first. Except that he's going to leave himself a tighter cut. Ooh, just about. That was pretty much the line that he was looking at there with the cue ball. Has stopped it rather nicely for himself, but he's missed the pot, so either way Kerry's got a tight cut. Potential skill shot here. Well, he would have been hoping for it anyway. If he'd gotten a piece of that red, it would have slowed the cue ball down. This is incredibly fine. Debatable whether it actually passes that red on the right as well. May also go off the red on the left. Oh, might have even tried to play a markers double there. The first idea would have been behind that red, but the second possibility is if he undercut it, is there was a markers double on. Again, that's excellent control. It would have been so easy to go behind that yellow. Short 2 rails and that it slowed down in time. Oh dear. Well, how often do you see Simon miss those? It is bread and butter every day of the week. He is human, folks. Kerry may want to get on the left-hand side of this black here. Looks like a much easier positional shot than trying to get the right-hand side of it. He's going to do that. He's got to put a fair amount of top left on this. Tell you what, I think he might have gotten on that black anyway had he potted the ball, or at least he would have gotten close. The good thing about leaving it this side is that Simon doesn't have an easy shot on the yellow. Sorry, on the red. I don't know if it actually cuts past the black. He'll be probably going for it anyway. Oh, it was on past the black, okay. Could go for the cut here, or he could go for the double. I reckon he's going to play for the double here, because the cut's dangerous. Oh, smash! Have yourself some of that. All about the cue ball there, that's why he didn't play the cut, but you can double them like that, why play the cut? Yeah, I think it is a snooker cue, Nicky. I've got one as well. Mind you, I don't play snooker, so yeah. Use it for my exploits on a 7-foot table. Hilly White now 2 sets to 1 ahead. And Adam Shaw is within 1 game of knocking out Des Blair. 2 sets to 0 ahead of Des and 2 games to 1 ahead. Dean Garnett 1 set to 0 ahead of Neil Wally and 2 games apiece. Successful break there for Simon. Red looks like it sneaks past the yellow there. Looking to the bottom right of the screen. Could aim to play the cannon here, either off the rail or straight off the yellow. Now it's straight off the yellow and that's perfect. It's another excellent cannon player is Simon. Flicks the red off the rail perfectly. Ooh, he's a bit close to the red there. Wanted to hit the red a bit finer than that. Can't see anything there, so he's got to go down table and back up. Can also put this in the corner behind the yellow. This depends on what he likes to do. Middle. Here's the weight. Here's the weight. Short, a little bit short. Straight as possible on that ball would have been ideal. Might have to go down table and then back up though. Not sure if he can get enough side spin to kick that second red out. Missed the pot. That was an incredibly difficult shot even for Simon. Not so much for the pot, but because he needed that position as well. That red is not in a good place. Kerry immediately into his work with the plant, and this may very well be a follow-up here, although I think this yellow might be on by itself. But no, it is a plant. Let's stick to what you know. Yeah, I didn't really see that, Sam. I'm just looking back at the shot, at least in my head. It would have made a bit of sense if he'd done that. He's already shown once before that he's not afraid of the length of the table double. No, I don't believe he does, Jody. Since the set swapped over, so your game's reset to 0. Wanted that to run through a little bit more, but it just kind of died off the rail. There's still a chance if he calls his weight into play here. Just drop it in. Which he has done, so this is massive. Get this, stay in the match. Just give yourself even an inkling of a chance here. Game hasn't been particularly kind to him. Just trying to centre himself right now because he knows how big a pot this is. Top left pocket. Yes! For those of you wondering why he went for that pocket, 2 reasons. 1, because it's a more open pocket at that angle, and 2, because he left the cue ball further down table in case he missed. So Kerry stays in the match. 2 sets to 0 to Simon and 2 games to 1. But the important thing for this match and for Kerry in particular is that he's still there. Fairly soon, I'd imagine, we'll be switching to the 30-second shot clock. Because this game is in quite an advanced state, I might hold off on that though. Just getting quickly to the 1.5 hour mark. Yeah, it could have been a bit of white line fever as well, both Sams. You see the line there, you'd rather rush to it and get it over and done with. That cue ball really needs to stop. Ooh, don't breathe too hard. Good to see that the players can work together to remove the shark rack as well, but this is an open table for Simon. Jaw snookered on the yellow down the short rail. It does appear that he can play the one over the middle pocket though. It's not a particularly good lie, but as long as he's got a ball that he can start with, he'll be fine with it. Bit of much of a muchness as to which set is the best here. Stuck balls either way, manages to get the hard yellow out. Still leaves himself on it. And he can work into the cue ball here to leave himself on the yellow down the rail. It's just going to be the one that's next to the black. He can put it in that middle pocket, but he should be able to work himself nicely back around for it here. Careful of the cue ball, sneaks it in. Simon would have been well aware of that too. Aware of the chance that there was the line that the cue ball needed to go on for that shot might involve the middle pocket. Would have been doing his best to jack up enough to avoid that. First time I've actually seen Kerry really use that free shot in this match. Is where that yellow's actually ended up, right next to the red and blocking the potting path of the red below the black spot. It isn't helpful at all. That's an excellent recovery though. He's left himself another wee problem here though, is this potting angle isn't quite right for the red that he's liberated. Needs to bite this hard. Nice, oh there it is, a lovely hard bite to get it into that gap. This is pretty much dead set for coming up table now. And now he's got the angle to break that red away. Could also play the one further to the left, but I'm looking at the one beneath the black spot here. Liberate the yellow, yes, well done. Even manages to push the yellow somewhat safe. Pretty much ABC from here. There's either a stun or a wee follow through. Now he's going back around. Wants that red in the middle last, I think. Wants to finish middle. Oh no, corner and then middle. Slightly the wrong side of this, but can put a trace of inside English on it to redirect the cue ball and the line for the black. Just like that, that's a beautiful touch. Couldn't have placed that any better. Down goes the black, here he comes, look out. And Kerry Wirtz 2 games each. Starting to get that touch up and running again. You saw it in the second set. Just had it nipped in the bud. Now it's starting to come back though, so if you can manage to flick this game off Simon, then 2-1, he's still with the momentum. You'd have to start putting a little bit more money on him. Not going to find it easy though. Simon's still very much in the ascendancy here and still one game away from victory. And he has the break. All queuing up for the middle pocket, and eventually one did go. You're right, Sam, and hopefully he realises for his own sake that he just needs to slow it down a little bit. The yellow over the middle pocket isn't quite set for the skill shot here. Because that would have been one shot that he'd be looking at if the yellow were right over the pocket. Because then he could free that red on the rail and then he'd be on reds, but instead he can play the yellows and work the angles for it. Leaves himself nicely in line for the yellow on the left hand side of the table to that bottom left pocket. May also be on that yellow down the rail to the right, and just looking at the side view, this looks very much on. They're actually further away from each other than I thought. If it's on, why not go for it? He's not played it very well though. He'll be absolutely kicking himself that he hasn't at least covered the pocket. I reckon Kerry can see enough of that red beneath that yellow to go past the yellow that Simon just played. It doesn't look like it's on, but Kerry can throw it in with a bit of left. Thank you, Frankie. Dead right there. That's actually a pretty good shot there that Kerry's played. Blocked off most of the table to Simon, and Simon responds very well though. Gets at least a partial cover of that pocket. Kerry's got some room to work around to get back on that red though. Red and bulk, he can use that to come back for it. Oh, he must have thought that went past the yellow into the pocket. Got his lines majorly fluffed there though. The yellow that's to the left of the black and further towards the red and the yellow in that corner there, looks like it will plant onto that yellow that's near the pocket. I don't think Simon will be too worried about the route for the finish here, because if that shot is on, then the rest of them become on by default. He's also got a second plant that he can play with the yellow right on the black spot. So your Hilly White beating Des Wilcox 3-1, and Adam Shaw beating Des Blair 3-0. So Des Blair, unfortunately, his tournament comes to an end. Adam Shaw lives to fight another game. I believe Healy White will play Adam Shaw next in the oh no, he won't. Semi-final. Des Wilcox versus Adam Shaw. That's the losers' qualification match. Healy moves on to the semi-final.
Another cracking match coming up. There's Des.
Yellow that on the black spot will go past that red into the middle pocket. I think Simon's looking to see if the yellow to the left of the black passes the red top right, because it may not pass the red bottom left, so mind you, if he does manage to get an angle on the yellow middle left, then he can actually manipulate that second yellow and still have a shot for it. Similarly now he's actually got a shot on that yellow just to the left of the black, so now he can roll that into the middle as well and set himself up either same middle pocket or the corner pocket for the second yellow. That was a tough angle. That was a great pot from there. Neil currently one set apiece, one game apiece against Dean Garnett. Needs to stick around for the black. Oh, that's beautiful. That's one of the best shots he's played all game. And what a great time for it. So Simon Singleton sees off the threat. Beats Kerry Wirtz 3 sets to 0.
We've got 45 minutes. We are going to... Is that 3 sets to 0?
Yep.
We're going to cut the string. Because we've got 45 minutes till the next match.
Okay, so about 45 minutes until the next streamed match. So we will very soon cut the stream. Just go to Q Score if you want to follow the other game that's still in progress. That's Neil Wally versus Dean Garnett. So far, 1 set apiece, 1 game apiece to those players. Hope you've all enjoyed this match. Unfortunately, for those people following Kerry, Simon Singleton just a little bit too good for him in this match, but Kerry will play on. He will, just looking at the way this lines up, will be playing the winner of the match between Dean Garnett and Neil Wally. So he's not out of it, he moves into the losers qualification bracket. And Simon Singleton goes to the semi-final. So everything will work itself out in the wash very shortly.
We'll be back in a bit at 35 to 40 minutes.
35 to 40 minutes we will be back on stream, so please rejoin us then. Until then, thank you very much for watching and hope to see you again soon.